To break today's events down for us, we're joined now by John Lavenberg, the national correspondent for the Tablet and Crux. And John, it's nice to have you here in studio.
Nice to be here, Christine.
So the first question I want to ask you, there's been lots of reports in secular media today saying bishops will decide whether President Biden and other Catholics will be allowed to receive communion, but that's not actually the case. Bishops aren't voting on this, right? What's happening?
So what the bishops are actually doing is they're voting on whether or not to draft a document on the meaning of the Eucharist in the church. It's not a document that is going to be aimed at President Biden or any other Catholic for that matter. It's just a document, they're calling it a teaching document, that discusses the meaning of the Eucharist in the church.
So ultimately, the decision of whether or not somebody receives communion is up to the individual bishop. Isn't that correct?
That's correct, Christine. It's actually something that's in canon law, canon 915 to be exact, and it's something that Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone has spoken about, and he actually wrote a recent pastoral letter on the topic of Eucharistic coherence. And so basically, the Bishops' Conference, they cannot, and they will not in this case, vote on whether or not an individual person is fit to receive the Eucharist. That's up to that person's local bishop. So for example, in the case of President Biden, Cardinal Wilton Gregory has already said that he will not bar President Biden from communion.
All right, interesting. Now, we actually spoke with Archbishop Cordileone after he released that pastoral letter. He had this message for pro-abortion politicians. Let's listen.
Please stop the killing. This is killing innocent human life. You have a very prominent position in society. You can influence societal attitudes and practices. You're in a position to do something to stop the killing. Please stop the killing. Please recognize the evil for what it is. Please have a change of heart and come back to the fullness of your Catholic faith.
Those are some strong words, and it just goes to show that there is a difference of opinions among bishops, right?
It does, and there is a difference of opinion amongst bishops, and it's really been something that's been going on since President Biden was elected. You have some that say he should be barred from communion because of his abortion support. Others say that it's a weaponization of the Eucharist and it serves to be divisive. It was culminated in a letter to Archbishop Gomez recently that said that this discussion should hold because they're not ready to have it yet. And that really was at the center of the start of the bishops' meeting today, where they kind of went back and forth about 15 bishops, and a lot of those in favor also brought up the Congregation of Doctrine of the Faith prefect, Cardinal Luis Ladaria, and he wrote a letter on this topic.
Right. All right, let's take a look at an excerpt from that letter. It says, this congregation notes that such a policy, given its possibly contentious nature, could have the opposite effect and become a source of discord rather than unity within the episcopate and the larger church in the United States. Can you elaborate more on that?
Sure, and he was sending that letter in response to what he has seen and what we have all seen between the bishops kind of going back and forth on this. And so he is basically urging them to proceed with caution when it comes to this issue. Some of the other things he mentioned include developing a national policy on the topic should be unanimous. He said developing the national policy must also include a dialogue between the bishops and the pro-choice politicians. And something to note, at the start of the spring meeting, Bishop Kevin Rhodes, who is the head of the Doctrine Committee, actually said that there is no national policy in this document.
All right, and I know there's plenty more topics that they're going to be discussing. John Lavenberg, national correspondent for the Tablet and Crux, thanks for being here, and we'll check back in with you tomorrow.
Thank you for having me.
If you're watching Currents News on YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button and click on the bell to get updates to all of our newest content, because we are putting your faith in the news.